But my point is, if you tell middle-class people you're not going to be able to afford to fill up your truck at $7 for diesel fuel, or you're not going to turn on your air conditioning because it's a sin and we're going to make it 30 kilowatt, and you're going to be on that forklift at 18 and you're going to pay taxes for this guy with a gender studies major at Stanford on his loan forgiveness. You're playing with fire of going after them, and then you keep calling them semi-fascist. So if you stop and think a minute, the President of the United States, between 2009 and 16, Barack Obama said these people clung to their guns. He just ridiculed them. Joe Biden has called them chumps and dregs. Hillary Clinton said they were irredeemables and deplorables, and she made fun of them in West Virginia. You know, coal's going to be, we're going to wipe out your livelihood. And when you call them fascist, and you have this, the FBI, members of the FBI say, how do we stop this president? Or Peter Strzok says, I went into Walmart and it smelled like Trump people. Or a CNN reporter says, I went to a rally and I had more teeth than everybody in this rally. And you combine that public, or Kevin Kleinsmith, an FBI lawyer who forged a document, and he writes in a tweet, Viva la resistance. If you marry that with an agenda that makes it impossible for people to have upward mobility, and you articulate your hatred toward them, and you call them, if you're the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, and you say that you're exploiting their white rage, or you're the Secretary of Defense, and you say that you're going to go in the ranks and you're going to find out who are all these racists, but you bring no data. The only data that I know that's race specific is the military always tells us who dies by race. And when you look at the statistics in Afghanistan and Iraq, white males die at double their numbers of the general population. And so when you go after them, you said, well, how long will they take it? They're playing with fire. Well, they already have. The recruitments in the U.S. Army are down 45%. Mm-hmm. Yes, this year. And the Reagan Library just did a poll, and they asked people, do you have confidence in the U.S. military? It used to be 85%. It was less than 50%. And the U.S. Air Force Academy is not getting that. It has a recruitment crisis about applicants. The applications have gone down, but especially the applications that qualify of kind of people they want. So we're starting to see people say no. We have a kind of a rejectionist half the country. It wasn't just that they're not going to Disneyland or they're not watching the Super Bowl or NBA. They're not joining the military. And they don't want their children to
or
go.
the police, I'd imagine.
Yeah, they're saying no, and that's half the country. And that was, the left always operated on the premise that they were the critical intellectual elite, and they would look at the system and they would poke holes in it, but was always the assumption that the system was there, that there was always some guy fracking oil, there was always some guy perched up on the 150th floor washing windows, there was always a guy to fix their car, put in their granite counter, bring in their...
Always someone to generate the money so the socialists could
There was
spend
always
it
somebody, when you wanted a nation build in Iraq, there was always a guy in rural Pennsylvania that's family had been 4 generations from World War II to Korea to Vietnam, and he was going to go over there and God knows where and die for this agenda. And that's how they existed. But when they take power and they destroy the energy industry, and when they destroy the military, and when they destroy the reputation of the FBI, there's no there anymore. And so the people who kept the country running and allowed these people to be professors and lawyers and media critics, they're the frill. They're the hair and the nails. They're not the muscles and the organs of the organism. And when you start attacking those people that make the country run, and it's not just white, I'm not saying white, it's everybody of the middle and working muscular classes. They warred on them. And when you don't want them in rebellion, because they'll we saw that during the COVID shutdown. When they stop working, or when they, and half of them stopped working, they couldn't work, their businesses were destroyed. And then the other half were the only people that kept the country running. The Amazon delivery, the guy who kept he was still irrigating the grape vineyard, the guy who was still out there welding. So that's who kept the country going. And we all can't sit in our house terrified of COVID, live by Zoom and have somebody knock on the door with our dinner and our Amazon delivery. That takes real people. And if you offend those people, as we're doing, and what's the real revolutionary thing in the United States now is the left was so obsessed with race, it's almost that their hubris brought on nemesis, because now what's happening, you're starting to see a subtle but definite trend that people who the left calls non-white feel there's a war against them. If you're a Mexican-American painter, or you have 10 people working in your electrician business, you don't want people going into your diocese and disrupting it over transgendered issues. You don't want partial birth abortion. You don't want critical race theory. You don't want somebody playing the knock-up game where they walk up to somebody and hit them in the head on a street in New York and they're out the same day. So they're offending those classes, and they're creating a new political reality of class, I think, is starting to slowly reassert itself. And that if Republicans are wise, they'll be able to take advantage of that.